The research facility's shadows seemed to pulse with each beat of Nathan Reeves' heart as he pressed himself against the cold metal wall. 6 years of special operations training had taught him to trust his instincts, and right now, every nerve in his body screamed that something was wrong about this mission. The intel had described a straightforward infiltration: get in, retrieve data about the Zenithians' new weapon technology, get out. But the facility's near-total darkness and eerie silence suggested otherwise. Through his tactical visor, Nathan observed the peculiar architecture of the alien structure. Curved walls stretched upward, merging with bioluminescent ceiling panels that cast a soft purple glow throughout the corridor. The air carried a faint scent of ozone and something else, something organic and unfamiliar. A sound, barely louder than a whisper, caught his attention. Nathan froze, his hand instinctively tightening around his pulse rifle. The sound came again, a soft scraping, followed by what might have been a suppressed whimper. It originated from behind a sealed door marked with Zenithian script his translator rendered as biological research. Years of experience told him to ignore it. His mission parameters were clear: retrieve the weapon's data and extract. But something about that sound pulled at him, demanding investigation. With practiced efficiency, Nathan overrode the door's security using the decryption codes provided by intelligence. The door slid open with a barely audible hiss, revealing a laboratory filled with sophisticated equipment and dimmed monitoring stations. But what caught Nathan's attention was the containment cell at the far end of the room. Inside, a female Zenithian sat huddled in the corner, her silvery skin bearing visible bruises and cuts. When she looked up, Nathan found himself staring into eyes like liquid mercury, filled with equal parts fear and defiance. "If you're here to continue the experiments," she said in perfect English, her voice hoarse but steady, "I suggest you reconsider. My vital signs are already critical." Nathan lowered his weapon slightly, confusion warring with training. "I'm not here for experiments. I'm looking for weapons research data." A bitter laugh escaped her lips. "Of course you are. Because that's all anyone sees when they look at us, weapons to be used or threats to be eliminated." She struggled to her feet, and Nathan noticed the scientific insignia on her torn uniform. Was Dr. Thera Voss, lead researcher in xenogenetics. Until I discovered what my superiors really wanted me to create. Nathan's mission briefing hadn't mentioned anything about genetic research. "What were they making you work on?" "A way to end this war permanently," Thera replied, her mercury eyes darkening. "They wanted me to develop a genetic weapon that would target human DNA specifically. When I refused." She gestured to her injuries. The implications hit Nathan like a physical blow. If the Zenithians were developing genetic weapons, the data he'd been sent to retrieve might be crucial for developing countermeasures. But looking at Thera, at the evidence of her torture for refusing to participate in genocide, he knew he couldn't leave her here. "Can you walk?" he asked, already moving toward the cell's control panel. "You're going to help me escape?" Thera's surprise was evident. Why would a human soldier risk his mission for a Zenithian scientist? Nathan's fingers flew over the controls, bypassing security protocols. "Because someone who chooses torture over creating weapons of mass murder deserves better than this. Besides," he added as the cell barrier disappeared, "I have a feeling you know more about what's really going on here than my intelligence briefing did." Thera stepped out of the cell carefully, her movements betraying hidden injuries. "The weapon research you're seeking and my genetic research, they're connected. But not in the way either of our governments wants us to believe. There's something both sides are hiding about humans and Zenithians, something that could change everything." Before she could elaborate, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. Red emergency lights pulsed along the corridors, and the sound of booted feet echoed from multiple directions. "We need to move," Nathan said, taking her arm to support her. "Can you make it to the extraction point?" Thera's mercury eyes met his with unexpected intensity. "Lead the way, soldier. I have a feeling this is the beginning of something neither of us expected." As they moved through the shadowy corridors, evading security patrols, Nathan couldn't shake the feeling that his simple intelligence-gathering mission had just evolved into something far more significant. Whatever secret Thera carried about their species' connection, he suspected it would reshape not just the war, but their understanding of themselves. What he didn't know yet was how personal that revelation would become. The maintenance tunnels beneath the research facility thrummed with the distant sound of alarm klaxons. Nathan guided Thera through the narrow passages, his tactical visor providing a ghostly green map of their surroundings. Her silver skin seemed to shimmer in the darkness, making her appear almost ethereal despite her injuries. Security teams are converging on the upper levels, Nathan reported, checking the facility's emergency broadcast frequencies. They haven't detected us down here yet. Thera pressed a hand against the tunnel wall to steady herself. These passages weren't in the original facility plans. How did you know about them? Let's just say your security isn't as impenetrable as you think, Nathan replied, then frowned as she stumbled slightly. We need to rest. You're pushing yourself too hard. They found a small maintenance alcove, partially hidden behind defunct processing equipment. As they settled into the cramped space, Nathan retrieved a medical kit from his tactical gear. This might sting, he warned, applying a universal healing compound to her visible injuries. It's designed for human physiology, but it should help. Thera watched him work with curious mercury eyes. You're not what I expected, she said softly. In all our briefings, humans were portrayed as violent, unpredictable creatures, incapable of empathy toward other species. Funny, Nathan responded, finishing with the bandages. We got similar briefings about Zenithians. Cold, calculating, viewing all other life forms as inferior. He sat back, studying her face. Yet here you are, willing to die rather than create a weapon to kill us. A shadow crossed Thera's features. What I discovered in my research, it changes everything we thought we knew about our species. The genetic similarities between humans and Zenithians aren't just coincidental. They're intentional. Before she could continue, Nathan's tactical display lit up with movement alerts. Patrol drones, he whispered, pulling Thera deeper into the alcove. Advanced bioscanners. Don't move. They pressed together in the confined space as the mechanical whir of drone rotors approached. Nathan could feel Thera's heart racing, its rhythm surprisingly similar to his own. The drones paused near their hiding spot, their scanning beams sweeping the tunnel methodically. Thera's breath caught as one beam passed dangerously close. Without thinking, Nathan wrapped his arms around her, using his body to shield her from the scanners. The moment stretched eternal, filled with shared breath and silent prayers. Finally, the drones moved on, their sounds fading into the distance. Neither Nathan nor Thera immediately moved apart. Your heart, she whispered, one hand resting lightly on his chest. The pattern, it's identical to ours. That's what my research revealed. Our species didn't evolve separately. We were engineered by the same creators, designed to be compatible. Nathan absorbed this, his mind racing with implications. Compatible how? In every way, Thera replied, her mercury eyes meeting his. Physiologically, genetically, even reproductively. The war between our people isn't just pointless, it's fratricidal. We're fighting our own kind. A distant explosion rocked the facility, sending vibrations through the tunnel walls. Nathan's tactical display filled with new alert indicators. They're sweeping the lower levels now. We need to move. They emerged from the alcove, both acutely aware of how the revelation had shifted something between them. As they navigated the tunnels, Nathan's training warred with growing questions. If what you're saying is true, why keep it secret? Why continue the war? Power, Thera answered grimly. Control. There are factions on both sides who benefit from keeping our peoples divided. My superiors wanted the genetic weapon not just to win the war, but to erase the evidence of our connection forever. They reached a junction where the maintenance tunnels connected to the facility's waste disposal system. Nathan consulted his map. The extraction point is half a kilometer through these ducts. My team can have us off-planet within hours. Thera grabbed his arm. Nathan, listen. I have proof, research data, genetic sequences, historical records. But it's not here. It's in a secure facility on the Zenithian colony world of Helios Prime. If we can reach it, we could expose everything, Nathan finished. He studied her face, seeing not an alien scientist but someone fighting the same battle he was, a battle for truth against those who would bury it in lies and hatred. Another explosion, closer this time, made the decision for them. First we survive, Nathan said, helping her into the disposal duct. Then we worry about changing the world. As they crawled through the cramped space, pursuit closing in behind them, Nathan realized his mission had evolved into something far more significant than intelligence gathering. He was now part of a truth that could reshape two civilizations, a truth embodied in the remarkable woman beside him, whose heart beat in time with his own. What began as a rescue was becoming a revolution, and Nathan Reeves was no longer sure which side of this war he was fighting for. The only certainty was the person beside him, and the dangerous knowledge they now shared. The Helios Prime spaceport sprawled across the desert landscape like a chrome spider web, its landing pads gleaming under triple suns. Nathan adjusted his holographic disguise, the shimmer of false Zenithian features settling over his human form. Beside him, Thera wore the plain garments of a maintenance worker, her silver skin dulled with synthetic pigments. Security checkpoint ahead, she murmured, her mercury eyes scanning the crowd. Commander Rylex has likely alerted every port in the system by now. 3 days had passed since their escape from the research facility. 3 days of stolen ships, false identities, and sleeping in shifts. But more importantly, 3 days of sharing information that painted an increasingly disturbing picture of their species' true history. There, Nathan nodded toward a cargo transport preparing for departure. Maintenance access panel on the ventral hull. If your clearance codes still work. Thera's fingers flew over her datapad, executing the security bypass she'd designed years ago. Funny how they never revoked my system's access when they imprisoned me. Arrogance, perhaps. They never imagined I'd escape with help from a human. They slipped through the crowd with practiced ease, their movements choreographed through necessity and growing trust. The maintenance panel opened silently, allowing them to climb into the transport's cargo hold just as the pre-flight sequence began. Once inside, Nathan deactivated his holographic disguise. How far to the research archive from the industrial district landing zone? 2 kilometers through the underground utility tunnels, Thera replied, settling beside him among the secured cargo containers. But Nathan, there's something I haven't told you about the archive. The ship rumbled as it lifted off, pressing them together in the confined space. Nathan noticed Thera's hesitation. Whatever it is, it can't be worse than what we've already learned. The genetic research data isn't just stored information, she said quietly. There's a living proof, a child. Born 3 years ago from a secret program studying human Zenithian reproduction. They kept her hidden, studying her development. She's the reason I started questioning everything, why I couldn't go through with creating the weapon. Nathan absorbed this revelation, understanding dawning. A hybrid child. But you said we weren't really different species. Exactly. She's not a hybrid, she's a pure expression of what both our peoples were meant to be. Perfect genetic recombination. They're keeping her in stasis, afraid of what she represents. Thera's voice cracked slightly. Her name is Luna. I was there when she was born. The cargo hold fell silent except for the thrum of engines. Nathan studied Thera's face, seeing the pain and determination there. We're not just exposing the truth anymore, are we? We're planning a rescue. I won't leave her there, Thera said firmly. But the security around the stasis chamber, it's beyond anything you've encountered. We'd need help. Nathan's tactical mind was already working. You mentioned other scientists who questioned the official narrative. Are any of them still at the facility? Dr. Van Chorus, Thera replied. My former research partner. He's been protecting Luna as best he could, feeding me information even after my imprisonment. But he's watched constantly. The ship began its descent, the change in pressure making their ears pop. Nathan retrieved his pulse rifle from its hidden compartment, checking the charge. Then we contact him. Carefully. If this child is what you say she is, she's living proof that this war is based on lies. Thera caught his arm, her touch sending familiar electricity through him. It's not just the child, Nathan. The genetic markers she carries, they're activating dormant sequences in anyone who spends time with her. Changes that are supposed to happen. Evolution that was planned millennia ago. What kind of changes? Enhanced empathic abilities. Accelerated healing. The ability to share thoughts through physical contact. She met his eyes. Haven't you noticed how easily we've learned to anticipate each other's movements? How we can communicate without words? Nathan had noticed. He'd attributed it to good training in natural chemistry, but now. You think it's already affecting us? Just from our time together. I think whatever force engineered our peoples didn't want us separate. The closer we come together, the more we awaken what we're meant to be. Her fingers intertwined with his. I can prove it. Close your eyes. Nathan hesitated only briefly before complying. Immediately, his mind filled with images and emotions not his own, Thera's memories of Luna, the joy and wonder of witnessing new life, the horror of discovering how the child was being used, the desperate need to protect her. The connection was overwhelming yet somehow natural, as if remembering how to use a limb he'd forgotten he had. The ship touched down with a gentle shudder, breaking their connection. Nathan opened his eyes, finding Thera watching him intently. That's incredible. It's who we were meant to be, she said softly. All of us. Together. The cargo holds temperature regulation system hummed to life, signaling they'd reached their destination. Nathan checked his tactical display, confirming the landing zone's location. First we find Chorus. Then we get Luna out. After that, we show both our peoples the truth, Thera finished. No matter the cost. As they prepared to disembark, Nathan realized they'd crossed a point of no return. This wasn't just about exposing a historical conspiracy anymore. They were on the verge of unlocking humanity's next evolutionary step, if they survived long enough to share what they discovered. The industrial district of Helios Prime awaited them, its sprawling factories offering both cover and danger. Somewhere in its depths, a child slept in stasis, carrying within her the key to their species' shared destiny. And Nathan knew with certainty that he would see this through, not just for the truth, but for the remarkable woman beside him who had opened his eyes to possibilities he never imagined existed. The underground research complex pulsed with an eerie blue light that seemed to emanate from the walls themselves. Nathan and Thera crouched in a maintenance shaft, watching Dr. Van Chorus input security codes into a protected terminal. The Zenithian scientist's elongated fingers moved with practiced precision, though Nathan could see tension in his shoulders. The stasis chamber's environmental controls are ready for shutdown, Chorus whispered, his violet eyes darting nervously toward the corridor. But Commander Rylex has doubled security since your escape. He suspects something. Through their growing mental connection, Nathan felt Thera's mixture of fear and determination. 3 hours had passed since they'd made contact with Chorus, convincing him to help them rescue Luna. Every minute increased the risk of discovery. How long will it take to safely bring her out of stasis? Nathan asked, checking his tactical display for guard positions. 8 minutes minimum, Chorus replied. The process can't be rushed without risking neural damage. And there's something else. He hesitated, looking at Thera. They've accelerated the testing. Luna's genetic markers are activating faster than anyone predicted. The changes she's triggering in the research staff. Thera's breath caught. They're awakening too. Already? Anyone who spends more than an hour in her presence starts showing signs. Enhanced empathy, accelerated healing, spontaneous telepathic connections. Rilex is terrified. He's ordered her termination, scheduled for tomorrow morning. Nathan felt Thera's spike of horror through their link. His hand found hers instinctively, their shared touch strengthening both their resolve. Then we move now. How many guards in the direct path to her chamber? 4 outside, 2 inside with the medical staff. Chorus pulled up a security feed on his terminal. But the complex's AI will detect any unauthorized access to the chamber. You'll have 3 minutes at most before it triggers a full lockdown. Nathan unholstered his pulse rifle, switching it to stun settings. Can you loop the security feeds? Give us a clear path. Already done. Chorus managed a grim smile. I've been preparing for this since they imprisoned Thera. I couldn't let them. He trailed off as heavy footsteps echoed from the corridor. They pressed deeper into the shadows as a patrol passed their position. Through their mental link, Nathan shared tactical data with Thera, coordinating their approach without words. She responded with detailed knowledge of the facility's layout, creating a perfect synthesis of their skills and experience. Stay here, Nathan told Chorus. If anything goes wrong, deny all knowledge of us. Your position inside the facility is too valuable to risk. The scientist nodded, then pressed a data crystal into Thera's hand. The complete research files, including footage of Luna's development. Everything you need to expose the truth. Now go. Save her. They moved through the complex like shadows, their movements perfectly synchronized. Nathan's combat training merged with Thera's intimate knowledge of the facility's systems, allowing them to bypass security measures with fluid efficiency. When they encountered guards, neural stunners dropped them before they could raise alarms. The stasis chamber itself was a temple of advanced technology. Through its transparent walls, Nathan saw Luna for the first time, a small figure floating in bluish fluid, her features a perfect blend of human and Zenithian characteristics. Medical staff monitored banks of equipment, oblivious to their approach. Ready? Nathan asked through their mental link. Thera's response was a wave of determination tinged with maternal protectiveness. They burst into action simultaneously, Nathan neutralizing the guards while Thera rushed to the control panel. The medical staff backed away, offering no resistance, perhaps already influenced by their prolonged exposure to Luna. Initiating emergency awakening sequence, Thera announced, her fingers dancing over the controls. 7 minutes until she's conscious. We need to hold this position. Warning klaxons began blaring throughout the facility. On his tactical display, Nathan watched security teams converging on their location. Company coming. Lots of it. We can't move her until the sequence completes, Thera said, monitoring Luna's vital signs. Her neural patterns are incredibly complex. The slightest disruption. The main door exploded inward as Commander Rilex himself led the assault team, his angular features twisted with rage. Step away from the chamber, traitors. Nathan dove behind equipment banks, returning fire as stun bolts filled the air. Through their link, he felt Thera's desperate focus on the awakening sequence, her determination to protect Luna at any cost. Time seemed to stretch like elastic as the firefight intensified. Then something extraordinary happened. Luna's eyes opened underwater, glowing with inner light. Every screen in the chamber lit up with unprecedented neural activity. A wave of something rippled outward from the stasis tank. Where it passed, weapons fell from suddenly nerveless fingers. Guards stumbled, clutching their heads as new awareness bloomed behind their eyes. Through their enhanced connection, Nathan and Thera felt it too, a vast consciousness reaching out, touching minds, bridging divisions. Luna wasn't just proof of their compatibility, she was a catalyst, awakening abilities that had lain dormant in both species for millennia. Commander Rilex was the last to lower his weapon, his face transformed by shock as ancient genetic programming activated in his cells. What is this? The truth, Thera said softly, working to complete Luna's awakening. What we were always meant to become. Nathan felt his own consciousness expanding, connecting not just with Thera now but with everyone in the room. He saw flashes of their lives, their fears, their hopes. The artificial barriers between human and Zenithian consciousness dissolved like mist in morning sun. Stay back, he warned Rylex, though his weapon had lowered instinctively. Let us finish this. Let her wake up properly. The commander took an unsteady step forward, his expression conflicted. The High Command, they knew. They knew what would happen if our peoples came together again. Why they had to keep us apart. Because united, we're more powerful than they could ever control, Thera finished. The change is starting, Commander. You can feel it too. Help us protect her. Help us share this gift with both our worlds. The stasis fluid began draining as Luna's small form descended gently into Thera's waiting arms. The child's eyes, neither fully human nor Zenithian, opened fully. And in that moment, Nathan knew their world would never be the same. 30 days after Luna's awakening, Nathan stood at the observation window of the Unity station, watching ships from both human and Zenithian fleets gather in high orbit around Helios Prime. The station, once a military outpost, had become the center of a transformation that was spreading across both civilizations like wildfire. Luna sat cross-legged on the floor nearby, her unique features illuminated by the starlight. At only 3 years old, she possessed an awareness that transcended her age, a living bridge between two peoples who had forgotten they were one. Thera knelt beside her, their fingers intertwined as they shared thoughts without words. The council is ready, Dr. Chorus announced, entering the observation deck. The past month had aged him, but his eyes shone with purpose. Representatives from both governments have arrived. Even the hardliners couldn't ignore the changes happening among their own people. Nathan nodded, feeling the expanded consciousness that now linked him not just to Thera, but to a growing network of awakened minds. Every day, more humans and Zenithians discovered abilities that had lain dormant in their genes for millennia. The walls between species were crumbling, just as the architects of their shared origin had intended. They're afraid, Thera said softly, rising from beside Luna. I can feel it radiating from the council chamber. Fear of losing control, fear of the unknown. They should be afraid, Commander Rylex added, joining them at the window. His transformation from ruthless military leader to advocate for unity had surprised everyone except Luna. We're dismantling everything they built their power on. Nathan felt Thera's hand slip into his, their connection deepening automatically. Are the genetic archives ready for presentation? Complete and verified, Chorus confirmed. DNA analyses, historical records, even fragments of messages from our original creators. Proof that humans weren't just compatible with Zenithians, they were created as essential partners in our species' evolution. Two halves of a greater whole, designed to recombine when the time was right. Luna stood, moving to the window with fluid grace. Her small hand pressed against the transparent barrier, and Nathan felt her consciousness reach out toward the gathered ships. Through their shared connection, he sensed the ripple of response, hundreds of minds touching hers, experiencing the truth she represented. It's time, Thera said, squeezing Nathan's hand. The council needs to understand this isn't just about our past. It's about our future. They moved through the station's corridors as a group, their enhanced awareness allowing them to move in perfect synchronization. The council chamber doors opened to reveal a gathering of the most powerful figures from both civilizations. Some faces showed hostility, others curiosity, and a growing number displayed the subtle signs of genetic awakening. As they entered, Luna's presence sent another wave of activation through the chamber. Nathan watched hardened military commanders and suspicious politicians stumble as new awareness bloomed behind their eyes. The child took her place at the center of the room, a living testament to what they could become. Honorable representatives, Thera began, her voice steady. You've all felt the changes. You've seen the evidence we've presented. The war between our peoples was founded on a lie, the lie that we were meant to be separate. Nathan stepped forward. But we were never meant to fight. We were designed to come together, to achieve potential neither species could reach alone. Luna isn't an aberration, she's a gateway to our true destiny. Through their expanded consciousness, they shared images, the genetic archives, the awakening of dormant abilities, the growing network of minds discovering their connection. They showed the council members their own DNA, the carefully engineered markers waiting to be activated by reunion with their other half. This is bigger than politics, Commander Rylex declared. Bigger than territory or resources or power. This is evolution itself. Dr. Chorus activated a holographic display, showing the spread of genetic awakening across both populations. The process can't be stopped. In less than a year, the majority of both our peoples will develop these abilities naturally. We can either guide this transformation or be overwhelmed by it. Luna stepped forward, her presence commanding attention despite her small size. When she spoke, her voice carried the weight of centuries. We were lost, she said simply. Now we are finding our way home. The chamber erupted in discussion, but Nathan could feel the shift in consciousness rippling through the assembled leaders. One by one, the barriers of prejudice and fear crumbled against the undeniable reality of their shared destiny. A human admiral, her eyes showing signs of recent awakening, stood. I move that we immediately cease all military operations and establish a joint commission to manage this transition. Seconded, called a Zenithian High Counselor, his own awareness visibly expanding. And we must protect the child. She is key to understanding what we are becoming. Nathan felt Thera's surge of emotion through their link. After so much struggle, so much sacrifice, the tide was finally turning. Luna moved between them, taking their hands, completing a circuit of consciousness that radiated through the chamber. The war is over, Nathan announced, feeling the truth of it in every cell of his being. But our greatest journey is just beginning. As the council chamber filled with voices raised in debate and declaration, Nathan looked down at Luna, then at Thera. Through their enhanced connection, he sensed the future unfurling before them, not just the end of conflict, but the birth of something entirely new. Two peoples becoming one again, growing into the potential their creators had always intended. Beyond the station's walls, the gathered fleets hung in space like stars against the darkness. But now they were no longer weapons of war. They were witnesses to a transformation that would reshape their civilization forever. The seeds of change had been planted. And in the end, love, not just between two individuals, but between two peoples who were always meant to be one, had overcome millennia of artificial division. Their shared destiny, written in the very structure of their DNA, was finally beginning to unfold.